Okay, this is module 2.4 for grade 10, electronic communication. It falls under the topic of network and internet technologies, although some of these things can come up in your social and ethical implications, particularly with people sending spam emails, crimes involving social media sites, things like that. So some of this content could come up under social and ethical implications. Applications to facilitate e-communication. We've got email, social networking sites, instant messaging, text, picture, and video messaging, mailing lists, web blogs, video blogs, fax to email, electronic mail, the composing, sending, and receiving of messages electronically over a network, which could include the internet. How email works: you type the message on a computer using email software, whether you're using Gmail or you're using Outlook to type your message. You type in the recipient's email address. You then click the send button, and the email is sent to your internet service provider, their server. Then it is sent to the recipient's ISP. The message will stay at the ISP until it's downloaded by the recipient of the email. So yeah, we've got you send the message, it goes to a SMTP server through the internet to that person's SMTP server. It lands at PopIMAP server, and it will then be downloaded by that particular user. An email server is used to process, store, send, and receive emails. Disadvantages and advantages of email. Advantages: emails are delivered and replied to much faster compared to traditional sending a letter via the post. Emails can be sent at any time from anywhere in the world. Your post office might not be open all the time. You can drop it in a post box. How often is the post box going to be emptied? So emails much easier to send anytime, anywhere in the world. It's cheap to send and receive emails compared to having to send a letter to somewhere else in the world, having to buy stamps, envelopes, things like that. It's versatile as photos and other files can be attached to the emails. Emails protect the environment as it's cutting down on the use of paper. Very green computing, sort of. Disadvantages: the recipient needs to access the internet to receive the email. Viruses are often spread quite easily via email attachments. There's no guarantee the email will be read immediately. Users can receive a lot of spam, and it can be hard to actually see what's a legitimate email if you're receiving 50 or 60 spam emails a day. It can kind of get lost. ISP versus web-based email. Web-based email. This is a service that allows you to access an email account through a web browser from any location that has internet access. So your Gmail, Yahoo Mail, Webmail, Hotmail. ISP-based email. When you sign with the ISP, internet service provider, they will give you an email address as part of your contract. You would then access your email using software like Outlook, Outlook Express, and examples of ISP-based email companies: MWeb, Cybersmart, Fox, Web Africa, AfriHost. You are paying for this. Web-based is generally going to be a free one. Email address. An email address is made up as follows: a username, @ and a domain. The domain is made up of the service provider ID, the type of organization, geographical location. So the section after the @ sign is referred to as the domain. So if we use an example of our school email address, we've got the person's username, @WYNGHS. That is our domain name. So if you went to our website, it would be at that domain, WYNGHS. .co is the type of organization. .za is the country. So I put some information here for websites and email addresses, just so you've got .com, .org, .eu, .edu, .gov, .in, .mx, .nz. Okay, some examples of different types of email addresses. You'll notice after the @ sign of whatever that person's name is, there's always the domain and some type of .net, .com, .co.za, .edu, .ac.za, whatever it is. Address book or contacts list. All email applications have an address book. This is a feature where you can store the email addresses of people to whom you might want to send email to. Contacts can be organized into groups called distribution lists, so you can send the same message to many people without having to add all the individual addresses. So if you think of when you joined our school, you get access to email. In that email, an example of a distribution list would be able to type grade 8 at winghs.co.za, and it would email everyone in grade 8. You don't have to create that. It's already been created. At the moment, learners are not allowed to email distribution lists, but that's an example of a distribution list. Another one would be teachers at, so that you can send an email to all the teachers as opposed to having to put in each person's email address individually. Also, being part of our organization, you gain access to everyone's at the school's email addresses. It's already been there for you. It's in the contacts. Mailing list. This is a list of people's email addresses grouped under a single name, and an email sent to this mailing list will be sent to all the email addresses on the list. For example, teachers at, learners at, grade 8 at, grade 9 at, grade 10 at. Practical use. In an email message, we've got the to field. We've got CC and BCC, carbon copy, blind carbon copy, subject, and the send button. The to field, the email address of the recipient. CC field, carbon copy. All recipients' email addresses are visible to each other. So if you place everyone's email address in the CC field, everyone can see that they've been included in the email. If you, however, want to email people, but you don't want everyone to see who you are emailing, particularly companies are supposed to keep people's personal information private. So with the POPI Act that's been coming out, you need to be aware that you can't just necessarily give up people's email addresses. So what people will do is they'll insert all the email addresses in the BCC field instead of CC or to. And what happens is nobody else can see who else received the email. So you're protecting the other people's email addresses. Subject field, it's good practice to include a short description of what the email is about. Attachments, besides just sending text messages, email applications will allow you to attach things, different types of files, whether they're Microsoft Office files, graphics, videos, photos. Size restrictions on attachments. Don't send things that are too large. People might not be able to download them. You could always send a link to a Google Drive folder where they could download in their own time. Netiquette, internet etiquette. This is the name given to the use of good manners and showing respect for others when using the internet. Cyberbullying, the spreading of rumors and gossip using cell phones and other electronic devices, has become a problem that can cause great distress and damage the reputation of the person or people being discussed. General netiquette and email guidelines. Ensure that any email message is error-free. Never type an email using only capital letters. That means you're shouting. Ensure attachments are free from viruses before you send. Never send insults or never be insulting in an email message. Emoticons should only be included in informal communication. Never pass on chain or spam emails. Don't send large attachments. Be careful of passing on too much personal information in an email. Could be a phishing attempt trying to get your information to steal money from you. Emojis and emoticon. This is an emoji. That is an emoticon. Emoticon, you're using the buttons on the keyboard to express your emotion. That would be a smiley face, where with your emoji, that's what your smiley face. Well, that's more a smiley face. Emojis are ideograms and smileys used in electronic messages and web pages. Emojis exist in various genres, including facial expressions, common objects, places, types of weather, and animals. Bitmojis is your own personal emoji. Create an expressive cartoon avatar. Choose from a growing library of moods and stickers featuring you. Put them into any text message, chat, or status updates. I think that's the end.